Today we're going to talk about the Tongariro Bomb, or as it's often known, the sacrificial fly. I don't like using that term because it suggests that the fly's job is purely a dead weight to get your trailing fly in a New Zealand rig down to the fish's level. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that your bomb will only catch the occasional stupid fish. So we're going to look at fly design, how we can tie a fly which is arguably just as effective at getting down to the fish's level, taking your trailing fly down to the fish, less weight, easier to cast, and more effective at catching trout. What's not to like about that? Before we look at fly design and look at the actual flies, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about how I like to carry my bombs when I'm going on a session. So Chris Dorr recently did a review on this Loon hot box. It is fantastic. This one's come straight off my lanyard that lives around my neck. You can also just tuck it into a shirt pocket if you've got a shirt pocket. And the great thing is everything you need to access, being 6 compartments, generous compartments. This time of year, I'll have 2-3 compartments of bombs, various bombs, 2-3 compartments of trailing flies, 1 compartment I'll keep free for some tippet rings. So I have everything I need and need to get access to and chop and change frequently. And that's indispensable. Let's look at some Tongariro bombs. So let's take a moment to talk about the construction of a Tongariro nymph. It's been tied on a size 10 jig hook. It's quite a small size 10. And we've got a 4.6mm slotted tungsten bead. There's a lot of weight in that. It's a 1 gram bead, and there's nothing there to slow the descent rate of this down. If we added a lot of lead wraps, it would take 100 0.015 lead wraps to be equal to that weight. So that fly would be fatter than that bead is high, which will negate how quickly it would sink. So is it worth adding that weight 100 wraps? You'd never do that because you'd close that gap up. What will slow your fly descent rate down is going to be adding appendages. So the only appendage here is that we have a really sparse tail, but that's quite pliable and soft. I've used CDL in this instance. You could leave the tail out altogether, but it does add a little bit of a lifelike quality about it. And the dubbing is very sparse. It really just aids that taper transition so that it's got a natural carrot-shaped taper. But there's nothing there slowing it down. You can imagine if this was a classic Tongariro bomb, you might have a hare's ear body with lots of scruffy fibers everywhere. And that would really slow the descent rate down because it would make a fatter body and have lots of little legs that are going to grab on the way down and grab the surface tension of the water. This is a really natural fly with a few things about it that will give the fish a wink and say hello over here, and that'll be the flash, a little bit of shine in the body, and also that hot spot. And it's all about contrast, so black, hot orange, and then a little bit of flash. Before we leave it there, I'll chuck another fly in the vise straight out of the hot box and discuss a slightly more garish fly. This one's straight out of the Loon hot box that I showed you before. So don't look too closely, it's just a standard fishing fly. We've got a short tail again, very wispy, adds a little bit of life and movement, quite a drab body with a little bit of shine, but I don't know if you can make out the black ribbing. So I've used some sparkle braid, a really thin micro braid for the body, which is quick to tie on, quick to wrap, and keeping things really slim, and then giving it a bit of segmentation and life with a counterwound rib in black again. You could have used colour if you want to dial up the colour volume a little bit. You can use a hot orange or a gold, a silver, contrasting the black. And then we've got some classic hare's ear dub at the front, but look at how sparse that is. You don't really want to overdo this. It's tied on a size 10, and it has a 4mm tungsten bead. A little bit of a hot spot, which is really just the red thread I use to tie the fly, but not much of a hot spot. The major colour volume is this bead which is a 4mm slotted tungsten bead in bright orange. You'd use that on spawn runners, or if you're fishing somewhere where the fish are less pressured and you really want to grab their attention, the water clarity is not as good. That's the sort of situation you might want to use it. So next time you tie a bomb, think about how streamlined you want to make it. You want a bit of a taper, but keep it nice and skinny, whether you're using pheasant tail, a quill body, braid as I have in this instance, or just a wire body. Think about the construction of that nymph and keeping things really slim so that they penetrate the water and get down without having to use unnecessary weight. I hope you found that helpful, and I'm going to tie this fly in a video for you now.